Hey guys, so today we're going to look at 5 Pokemon investments I think you can make right now that are a bit undervalued. Obviously, a lot of stuff in the market, a lot of, things that you can invest in are either overpriced right now in my opinion, or they're fairly valued and you just can't really, look at it as a good short-term or even mid to slightly long-term investment, let's say. And what I mean by that is within 1 or 2 years, I don't think it's going to be the best investment. For example, buying Surging Sparks at $210. Some people might disagree with that, but I don't think it's worth getting, especially if people think a reprint's coming. But the point of this video is to look at some things I think are undervalued that you can make a move on. So first thing, Temporal Forces booster box. I already bought some of this. I'm going to be looking to buy a bit more. You can barely find this in Canada at this point, under 160 Canadian. So what is that, like 110 USD, something like that. And, really after that's going to jump up into that 120, 130 range. And I do like Temporal Forces. I like the cards in it. Obviously, you have the legendary Paradox Pokemons, Raging Bolt EX, Walking Wake, Iron Crown, Gouging Fire, Iron Leaves. You do have some other Pokemon in here like Ghastly. You have some trainer cards too, Bianca, Airy. So there is some variety, Gengar EX, Full Art, Metagross. So lots of depth to the set. This set actually has more depth than Paldea Evolved. So the top cards aren't as strong as the Magic card, but when you look outside the top five-ish cards, and definitely outside the top 10, Temporal overtakes it. So underrated set here, in my opinion, and one of the only ones you can find at decent price now. Same thing with number 2 is going to be Paradox Rift boxes. So these are only up 4.5% on the year. Paradox Rift was everywhere when it was released last year. I remember going to Walmart, just like the entire thing was Paradox Rift. And it's not really like that anymore. Paradox Rift is starting to become more difficult to find and definitely at a good price. I remember buying some of this back in like March or April from Kansan Games for like 120 Canadian shipped to my door. Just a ridiculous price. People were blowing this out. They just didn't want to have it. There was tons and tons of cases. Now you're lucky to find this under 155 Canadian, 160 after tax and shipping or whatever. So Paradox Rift, unless it gets a reprint, and considering where everything else is going, wouldn't surprise me if this is a $200 Canadian box soon enough, like 130, 140 USD. And again, tons of really good cards in Paradox Rift as well. You have the Groudon up top sitting around $65 that we can take a look at. I wouldn't be surprised if this card eventually breaks $100. Altaria EX, this is a really great artwork. And remember, this is an SAR card. The Groudon is an IR. This is an SAR, so it should be harder to pull in theory. Beautiful artwork. This is $20, $25, something like that. Like, should this really be worth just that much? I don't know. It's up to you guys to decide. But I think a lot of these cards in the set have room to grow. And I think if that happens, and say the Groudon pushes $100, Roaring Moon EX comes back to like $75, $80, the Altaria bumps up to like 50, say the Iron Valiant even just doubles to like 40, $45, right? If that happens, people's, view of Paradox Rift is going to change drastically. We've seen that with a ton of other sets. We saw it last year with some of the alt-art sets like Fusion Strike. Once the alt-art started going off, I remember the Celebi doubled overnight, the Gengar took off. People thought Fusion Strike was a lot better than what people previously thought of it, the year prior and the 6 months prior to that as well. So if that happens to Paradox Rift, if that happens to Temporal Forces, these sets are going to be right up there with Paldea Evolved. They're going to be up there with Twilight Masquerade, maybe not to the same extent, but people are going to rate them better than they do now, and that's why I think they're decent short-term to medium-term investments. The third thing is going to be Silver Tempest booster boxes. Again, the reason I'm throwing this in here is it's still in stock on the Pokemon Center. You can buy these for 144 USD right now. If you're in the States and you don't have to pay $10 flat rate shipping on every order, buy one box, okay? Don't buy 2 or 4 or 3, just buy one. The odds that it's going to arrive in good condition is probably best that way. I would order one, see what condition it comes in. If you're satisfied with that, I would just continue to order one box after another one. If you're in Canada or you're in the States and you can find a decent deal. So for example, in Canada, if I go to Hobbiesville right now, they have Silver Tempest boxes for $210 Canadian. They normally run Black Friday sales for like 10% off sealed product. I'm not sure if they're going to do that this year. I would hope they do it this year. 10% off 210. You're looking at $190-ish. So after tax, you're going to be closer to $200 Canadian. If you can get a box of Silver Tempest for 200 Canadian from a third-party site like Hobbiesville, I would do that because it's going to be a very good condition box. They ship quite well. I would even consider buying cases or messaging them to see if you can get a sealed case at that point. I think that would be a very good play going into Black Friday and the holiday season, especially considering Silver Tempest, it got a big reprint last year. It's probably not going to get another big reprint ever again. Again, it's still possible that that could happen, but as we move deeper into Scarlet and Violet, Sword and Shield's gonna, continue to move into the distance, and with that's gonna be a rise in price. Now, before I talk about the last two things, I just wanted to jump in here and say 70.6% of you guys watching these videos aren't subscribed to the channel. So thank you to the 29.4% of you that are. If you're in that 70% that isn't subscribed, if you're getting some value out of this content, I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the video. It helps me out a ton. Super easy way to support me. So that's all I'm going to say on that. And then talking about the last two things, the fourth thing is just going to be Paradox Pokemon in general. Now, a lot of people might disagree with me on this, but when I look at a lot of these cards, I think they're underpriced. You have the Roaring Moon EX from Paradox Rift. This is sitting around 50, 55 bucks. This is an SIR, really great artwork. Obviously, Roaring Moon is the Paradox Pokemon of Salamence. Salamence is a pretty popular Pokemon. Iron Valiant is from Paradox Rift as well. This is sitting around $20, guys. An SIR, a Paradox Pokemon, the set was based around, and it's $20 right now. To me, that just seems ridiculously low. When we look at Temporal Forces, Raging Bolt EX obviously is the highest one, sitting around 80 bucks. I love this card. It's my favorite card in the set. It's one of my favorite cards in Scarlet and Violet era. I wouldn't be surprised if this cracks $100 one day. You also have Walking Wake and Gouging Fire in there. And then you have Iron Crown EX, beautiful card with the moon in the background, and Iron Leaves EX. Now, Iron Crown is sitting around 55-ish dollars right now. Iron Leaves is $30, guys. When this set came out, these cards were just popping off. They're selling, $80, $90, $100. The Iron Crown was well over $100 at one point out the gate. So is this really a $30 card? Like an SIR Paradox Pokemon with this great of an artwork, 30 bucks? I just think some of these are way too cheap. If these were $50, $60 cards, I think that would be reasonable. And it wouldn't surprise me one day if a lot of these pop off, if someone decides to start buying these out, buying out the PSA 10s, at which point, when we even consider the booster boxes, people are going to look at the sets differently. They're going to want to buy up Paradox Rift. They're going to want to buy up Temporal Forces. But if you want to just make that, more of a focused play into some of the cards instead of just buying the sets, going with these Paradox Pokemon, I think, could play out well. Now, this isn't a guarantee, so I am throwing in a guarantee for the last one. And this is kind of more for my Canadian followers. I'm not sure if people in the US can buy these. Lost Origin booster boxes. The reason I'm putting this in here, Lost Origin's sitting around $240 USD at this point. If you go to 401games.ca in Canada, these are up for $194 Canadian right now, which is just insane. I know 401 Games, a lot of the times they're overvalued, but they'll run a sale and it seems like they never actually readjust the price after the sale until a ton of people buy out the product and then they realize it's super undervalued. So I don't imagine that this is going to stay at this price for much longer. And if you want to know the Canadian, what you're going to pay in Canadian, it's 270 Canadian. So after tax, it's like 303 or something. If you want to buy Lost Origin, this is the cheapest I've found it. Maybe you can find it for 300 bucks a box on Facebook or something, but buying from 401 Games is pretty legit. You're not going to have any issues with packing or knowing that it's a fake product or anything, so should be good on that front. This is the cheapest you're going to find Lost Origin in Canada, probably ever again. I mean, Lost Origins continue to go up. One of the best sets in Sword and Shield era. If you can buy Lost Origin, Fusion Strike, Chilling Reign, if you can buy any of those sets under 300 Canadian, that just seems like a steal. But yeah, I figured I'd throw in Lost Origin just for you guys if you want to buy a little bit of that right now. That's all I got for you guys today. Again, thank you so much if you subscribe to the channel, if you leave a like on the video. If you're shopping on Hobbiesville, eBay, TCG Player, I have affiliate links in the description. You can click them before you do your shopping. It's at no extra cost to you, and I get a small kickback from it. If you don't do that, though, no worries at all. I appreciate you guys being here. Stay safe wherever you are in the world, and I'll catch you in the next one.